What is going on, y'all? This is the Caveman. I'm here with Football with Oz Austin for episode 42 of Against the Blitz. And we're taking a break from having a guest. We've had a guest stealing the spotlight for the last few weeks now, but now you're stuck with just the two of us. So I apologize in advance. But today we are going to start some fantasy prep. This, of course, isn't a fantasy football podcast. I will at least speak for myself in saying that I claim to be no fantasy expert. I just like to share my opinions. That's the whole point of the platform. So we're starting some of that today. Quarterbacks and tight ends, because there's not too many of them, so we're lumping them together. But there's still a lot to cover here.
Yeah, and I know everybody hates drafting quarterbacks and tight ends early, but like sometimes if you get the right one, it can absolutely win your league. So why not talk about them? They do matter.
Yes, and this is also like 80% of what football fans care about is fantasy football. So
Yeah,
we
which
have,
kind
we
of
have to talk
sucks.
about
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I was battling like Austin Eckler top 3 actual running back like claims for so long because of fantasy only.
Well, I feel like we've come down to earth a little bit. At least there's more. I feel like that
Yeah.
kind of thing isn't happening nearly as much as it used to.
No, I mean, is anybody overrated just because of fantasy right now? I mean, I feel like you low-key think that Amon-Ra St. Brown is because of fantasy. Just like
Maybe.
production wise, like some people think he's better than he is, maybe, which could be true. I don't know. I feel like it underrates a lot of players though. Like I think like a lot of guys like don't produce in fantasy, like Cortland Sutton. So
Mhm.
people just think he sucks, but like he's actually pretty damn good.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are a lot of guys that get a bad rap because of fantasy, actually. So
Mm.
it's the inverse. But anyway, we are going to rip through a couple categories that we have for both positions. So we have the top 3 fade quarterbacks and tight ends, the top 3 best value quarterbacks and tight ends, the top 3 lottery ticket, which we'll kind of explain once we get there, the top 3 streamers, and the top 5 overall for who we are predicting to finish, um, in the top 5 on the year for both positions. So we will
Yeah.
start with quarterbacks and we'll start with the negatives. So we'll start with the fades. Austin, I'll let you start this one off.
I hate it. I hate this guy because I was high on him last year, and I can't do it again. Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray has always been the like once you get past the Josh Allens and all them, Kyler Murray is like the guy in the mid rounds to get, but he's just never even had the rushing production to kind of make it worth it. Like he runs well and he scrambles well, but like the actual rushing numbers don't show up. So unless he just all of a sudden turns into a robot, it is significantly better than years prior. Kyler Murray is just another QB9 kind of QB. We just want to rip through the list.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, just go ahead and rip through it.
I've hated on this guy enough, but Jared Goff, I think that not having Ben Johnson to create countless wide open schemed players, the offensive line is going to be significantly worse from the inside, and Jared Goff is not a good QB with 300-pound dudes in his face. So I think that there just naturally is going to be a pretty steep drop off, but a lot of people are still pretty big fans. And then I do have Jordan Love because as I like the player, but like I still don't think there was enough enough additions to his team. I don't think that Matthew Golden really makes him a significantly better quarterback. And I think he just kind of produces how he has throughout his career, which is like QB 10, QB 12 kind of QB.
Yeah, I agree with all of those. I really don't have too many gripes. Jordan Love specifically is weird because he just has every tool to be such a high
Mm-hmm.
octane passer, to be like a 5,000 yard, 40 touchdown kind of guy, and just really hasn't happened yet. And there's a bunch of different reasons why, but it feels like, at least in my opinion, non fantasy speaking, this is kind of the year where if he doesn't kind of put it together consistent, like a big consistent season of looking like that type of quarterback, then I think
Yeah.
there are some very fair questions to be asking about Jordan Love, especially with the investment they threw at receiver this year. That was the big excuse for a while, but now, they're giving him the help that he might need.
I loved Matthew Golden, but he's going to suck. He's wearing number 22. It's awful. That is so bad. He passed the name test. Matthew Golden's a pretty cool. Like Matthew Golden
Mhm.
could be a good receiver. Like that's a good name. But then they gave him number 22. Was he like Shaheed? Is he like the only receiver in the 20s that's ever been decent? He needs to be better than Shaheed.
Yeah, he does.
And
He
I
does
love
need to be better.
Shaheed, but like first round pick needs to be better than Shaheed. So I don't know. Bust.
Yeah, we'll save the Matthew Golden opinions for the receiver episode, but yeah, I tend to fall in line. My top three fade quarterbacks go as follows. I do also share Jared Goff on this list for very similar reasons. I don't feel the need to rehash all of them, but yeah, I mean, without Ben Johnson, you are bound to see some sort of regression. I think this is a team, generally speaking, that will regress, and Jared Goff will be kind of spearheading the whole downward spiral for production wise. I don't think the team is going to be bad, but statistically speaking, I think we see Jared Goff specifically not reach the numbers that we've seen him hit these last couple of years. My next quarterback, someone I've talked about before, is Baker Mayfield. I feel like he's got an ADP right now of like 71, at least on Sleeper's draft board, which is where I mock primarily. I know everyone's underdog. Sorry, I'm not on there. But Baker's ADP on Sleeper, at least, is like 71. I don't think that's bad, but this is a guy that for the first time in his career threw for over 30 touchdowns last year, and he actually went over 40 with 41. And I just don't see a universe where he comes close to those numbers again. We see another offensive coordinator change on top of it, too. It's like I feel like there was almost some luck going from Canales, who was doing a great job of getting this offense put together, and then Cohen kind of capitalized on it and really rebuilt on it. And now, with the loss of Cohen, I have some reservations about what this offense could look like. Even though Godwin is healthy, like Buka is now a part of the mix. They have probably the most talented receiver room in the entire league, top to bottom. So there's a lot to like, but I think at 71, it's a little rich. And then the last quarterback I have is Joe Burrow for reasons that have just to do with fantasy football. I just cannot get behind taking, regardless of where he ranked last year, which was like top 3, top 4, a quarterback without any rushing upside in the first 4 or 5 rounds. It just doesn't seem like good practice to me. I think there are quarterbacks that have the opportunity to pass just as much as Joe Burrow and produce similarly in the 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th rounds even. So I think it's just insane to be taking a quarterback that high, one that who just hit season highs, career highs last year. I'm not big on expecting that production to return.
Yeah, Joe's the only hard one because like if the production does return, you could probably call it worth it. But like it's just hard to bank on that, that high level of play again. And it also really depends on just like the actual ADP where he goes. Because like if he is going in the 5th round, that's pretty steep. And I've done it before because like I'm a Bengals fan. I love to have Joe Burrow on my team. It wouldn't be a bad pick to me, but like it's just not. It's not gonna win you your league, and it's just not great value. Is kind of the problem. Still would be a good player to have, but yeah, fade to me, and I'm sure to you too, was just like you might even like the player, but like at the value of where they're being drafted currently, it's just a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's exactly with Baker. It's like I love Baker. Who doesn't love Baker Mayfield?
I think Baker's going to go off this year again. It's just
Yeah.
like if people are drafting him too high, I just can't call it worth it when there's, you could be drafting your flex or your RB2 or something else there when QBs are a lot closer in like end of season production to each other.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, the first what is the actual roster even consist of? Quarterback to running back to receiver. So that's the first, and then a tight end and a flex. That's the first. So it's 7 rounds about if I can do math properly. So those are the most important picks of your draft. After that, of course, are just as important in different ways, but you're filling out your starting roster for the most part. So if you end up reaching on a quarterback that doesn't reach the pick you kind of invested into him, you're really hurting yourself. So that's why I mean, clear.
And there are times where like it just does feel good. Like I usually go after a high quarterback like Josh Allen just because I'm like, it just feels good all year long to know you're getting that 25. Like you're getting those points automatically. Like you're not waiting for like an Anthony Richardson. Anthony, like you're like, please, just don't get hurt. Just don't throw 5 picks. Like it is nice to know you're trotting an actual good football player out there, and it's a lot harder to check the waiver wire for a good one. But I don't know. I try to stick to value. Like it's a thing that's so hard for me to do, but I'm gonna keep trying to do it.
Yes, I agree. That's why sometimes I'll walk away through the first 5 rounds with 4 receivers or 4 running backs or just something ridiculous because it's like the value of each of
Yeah.
these picks just felt too good. I couldn't pass. I don't
Yeah.
care what my team looks like. I just couldn't pass on the value. Like,
Yeah, and then I'm like, Jameson Williams or like Joe Burrow. And I'm just like staring at them both. I'm like, okay, okay, fine, Jesus. I'll take the quarterback. I'm not gonna
Right.
be too insane. But yeah, but I mean it is really it's like that's kind of like the most important part of getting a good fantasy pick too, is like actually getting good value. Because there are some guys, like we were saying, in the middle rounds that will probably end up producing fairly similarly. Like I mean, I know Joe Burrow might throw for 45 touchdowns, but if you can get a guy 4 rounds later that throws for 29, 30, it's not that big of a difference. So, who do you have as your 3 best value picks?
My 3 best value quarterbacks, these are 3 of my favorite, and a big reason why guys like Burrow and Mayfield are fades would include number one, my by a country mile is CJ Stroud. This is my favorite quarterback going into 2025. I see a Joe Burrow esque pre 2024 Joe Burrow esque outlook, if you will. People are worried about the offensive line and what the offense could look, blah blah blah. Like I get CJ Stroud isn't Joe Burrow, but they kind of took the Bengals type of approach to the offseason. Instead of investing into the offensive line, they actually shipped out their best one and then went crazy bringing in some receiver talent. So I think they're going to be passing the ball frequently by whether it's their choice or not. And I think Stroud is good enough, as long as he has his receivers healthy, to kind of shoulder a similar responsibility that we saw Joe Burrow shoulder last year. And I think it could lead to some pretty big numbers, especially compared to what is a 10th, 11th round, you know, ADP right now. That's where he's going, at least in the mock drafts I've done. On Sleeper, it's at 123. So that's insane to me for a guy as
Yeah.
talented as CJ Stroud. Next, I have Dak Prescott for pretty similar reasons. Another guy that is just too good of a passer to be going outside of the top 100. Like, we could be seeing MVP type numbers from this guy again, especially with the addition of George Pickens. And I do think, as much as we talked about the Cowboys wanting to be a balanced offense next year with Shoddy calling the shots, I think they will be forced to pass the ball a lot too, because they just won't have too good of a run game with the running backs I have there. And last is Trevor Lawrence. This guy is getting drafted so late, like ridiculously. He's going like 30, 40 picks later than the 2 guys I've just named. And I get why. Like, I feel like people have been buying into Trevor Lawrence for the last couple of years and they've been let down. So I get not wanting to kind of be tricked again, but it's kind of hard not to be excited about Liam Cohen, Travis Hunter, Brian Thomas. Like, as long as he stays on the field, I find it hard to believe he doesn't outweigh where he's getting drafted.
Yeah. I shared 2 of those myself. I shared Stroud because I don't think people understand that last year his offensive line was awful, but his receivers also weren't very good.
Yeah.
Like Nico Collins missed a few games. They were trotting out John Mechie out there for a while. Like they were trotting out guys that just did not belong. But they invested 2 draft picks into 2 top 10 rookie receivers, in my opinion. They brought in Jalen Knoll and Jaden Higgins, 2 guys from Iowa State that I think are both going to be studs. And they both fit their offense perfectly. Not to mention Christian Kirk coming in, not to mention Dalton Schultz and Joe Mixon, and some slight offensive line upgrades. So I think there is a chance that CJ Stroud, like you said, takes the Burrow route and just becomes a high volume passing quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
And then Trevor Lawrence, same exact thing you said. I just don't see how he fails. If he fails, I will let it go. I will let it go. I'll never talk about him again. But the dude's 25 years old. It's not like he's like been in the league forever and he has, hit 30 and I'm hanging on to it. Like he's like a single year older than Bo Nix. Okay, leave it alone. He's good. He's still good. He still has a chance. Don't freak out about it. And then my last one that I had, actually, I shared 3 with you. I also had Dak Prescott.
Oh shit!
Hell yeah, yeah. I didn't even realize that for a second, but yeah, Dak Prescott. It's a big difference going from Brandon Cooks to George Pickens. It's a humongous deal. Like CeeDee Lamb, Jake Ferguson, George Pickens, and like you said, also a horrible running back crew. So as fun as it would be to play the game the right way and have a balanced attack, it's like you said, also not going to happen.
No,
Not at all.
no, it's not.
No.
Like, I mean, I see the vision. I appreciate the vision, like you kind of said, but they're going to be forced to pass, man. Like that's just the
Yes.
nature of it, and they'll be in games where their defense isn't going to be helping them out much. They might have to go, punch for punch, strike for strike. What is it? Blow for blow with other teams. All right, blow for
Not
blow
me.
with other offenses, especially the better ones. And if they want to keep up, they're just going to have to flat out score points. So, and that will require them to be awesome that thing. So, I mean, people act like Dak wasn't in the MVP conversation 2 years ago, putting up the numbers he did. I mean, he was so efficient. So,
he maybe should have won.
Yeah, you could argue. You could very easily argue.
Definitely argue. Yeah, I'll pull up the side-by-side stat thing that everyone likes to pull up.
The stat head.
Dak won. Yes, I love stat head. Only when it works in my favor.
Stat head has done irreversible damage to football discourse. Like,
yeah, Javonte Williams better than McCaffrey.
It just leaves out so much context.
Yeah, but it works for me in my arguments. That or PFF, they only matter when they benefit me.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
All right. So on the topic of best value, we also ventured into the idea of a lottery ticket quarterback. And to me, the definition of this was a quarterback that you can justify taking later in your draft that you have almost no expectation for, but you could end up winning the lottery. It's exactly what buying a lottery ticket is like. Like, you're not expecting to fucking win the lottery, but you're just trying it. Why not? So
No.
I will let you take this down. Who are your top 3 lottery guys?
The golden boy I've been kind of clinging to for a while is JJ McCarthy. And we talked about this earlier in the Discord, link below. JJ McCarthy is
not to plug it. Shit.
I know. He is in the perfect situation to succeed. He has Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, TJ Hawkinson, and possibly 5 all-stars, Pro Bowl level players, all of them on the offensive line, on top of having the quarterback whisperer, coach of the year, as his head coach. Like, if he fails, I will just disappear. You will never hear of me again, because there's just no way. I also have Drake May, because Drake May was dealing with a pretty shitty cast last year. Like, their best offensive lineman was Michael Onwenu, and then it was like Vidarian Lowe and Cole Strange. It was terrible, and he was throwing to only tight ends. Like, Austin Hooper was a really important part of their piece of their offense. That's awful. And he still was pretty good from like a fantasy game, like fantasy points per game perspective. He was pretty reasonably solid. So if Drake May this year, new head coach, a offensive coordinator that does understand quarterbacks, a couple improvements, Stephon Diggs to the receiving core, and, another year under his belt, I can see Drake May being pretty damn good. And then another one that I've started really growing on is Michael Penix Jr. Because it's another one where I'm like, I just love the situation. I love Drake London. I love Mooney. Shut up, Kyle Pitts. And then I also really like their offensive line. So I think that there is a chance that Michael Penix could be really, really good. I was thinking of a guy in our Discord, Michael Penix, every single time that I see his name. So I'm like, God damn it. That wasn't even a joke. I legit said that on accident.
Yes, the Discord that you should definitely join. Linked in the bio.
Yes, you can talk to
description here.
Yes. But Michael Penix, like, unless they run the absolute shit out of the ball, I think that he actually could be 25 plus touchdown kind of guy.
Yeah, I mean, this is a team that has the weapons to be an explosive downfield passing attack, and unfortunately, I feel like they were pretty hampered with Kirk to where they really couldn't develop much of that. They couldn't do very much because of Kirk, period. And I think that was one thing that certainly suffered. And we know Michael Penix is someone that, he can lead an air raid offense. So as long as they don't go full Arthur Smith on us, I do think there is a chance for Penix to really go crazy. And I think Drake London specifically,
God,
I'm so high on Drake London. And I guess if I'm going to be high on Drake London, I have to be, encouraged by Penix as well. So I do agree.
I played against Kirk Cousins last year in fantasy. Guess which game I played against him in?
The Bucs game.
The 500-yard 4-touchdown game. Kirk Cousins was disgustingly bad the entire year. Like, he was throwing it like he was throwing a softball.
Mhm.
It was terrible. And then against the Buccaneers, he throws for like 500 yards and 4 touchdowns against
That
me.
was that well, I think both of their games were nuts, weren't they? Because
I don't remember the other one, but I know that one was like a prime time game, like a night game, and I watched it because like I just needed Kirk to go under like 25 points. Like it was a super reasonable ask. He
yeah.
puts up like 50.
Yeah, sure is
Okay,
funny.
well,
Who
sorry.
was starting Kirk Cousins? That's well, how many people were in this league?
12.
20, Jesus. Like we were that down bad. Holy
It is a
shit.
deep bench league with 2 flexes, so like at
Okay.
a certain point, like all the QBs are scrubbed, and that was when Kirk Cousins was still of like an idea to be a decent quarterback.
Yeah, that's true.
But
Fair enough.
RP.
All right. My top 3 lottery quarterbacks. I do also share JJ McCarthy. He has, I think his ADP is probably along the lines of Sleeper says 139. So
Oh yeah.
pretty late. I think there are people out there that are high on Justin Jefferson, high on Jordan Addison. They'll take the Vikings running backs. It's like, then why aren't you high on JJ McCarthy? Or why wouldn't
Yeah.
you show just as much appreciation for McCarthy? Kind of like I was saying for Pennick. So I think that's a big disconnect between like, oh, Justin Jefferson's a top 5 pick, but we're over here like not even considering McCarthy as potentially being an option of fantasy this year. So he fits the description. I have Bryce Young on here. Bryce Young, I think people know that he had a good end of 2024, but fantasy speaking, I don't know if people truly know how good he actually did. Like the last 4 weeks of the season, last 3 weeks, we'll cut it down to 3 weeks. 27 points, 17 points, 36 points in the last 3 weeks, which, considering he had a week here in week 7 with negative zero point 0.2 points.
God damn.
Week 2, he had 3 points.
Ugh.
Yeah, so he finished off the back half of the season strong. After the bye week, he was probably averaging, if my math does me some sort of justice, like 17 points a week, which for a quarterback that started off as bad as Bryce did, I'm pretty encouraged by that.
I will say, like, I love Bryce Young.
Yeah.
I love him. I've loved him forever. But dude, his PR team's fantastic. For him to like be so bad in the beginning of the year, come back for like a handful of games and play reasonably well, and everyone's always like, "Oh my god, this guy's top 10. This guy might be top 10 soon." His PR team's so good.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. Like he's had such a bumpy road. I think people, whenever they see a quarterback like this, I mean, I think it happens with Anthony Richardson just as much with some certain parties, but like you've seen so much bad football, but the small flashes are just so encouraging to the right eye that it makes you forget about all of the other garbage. Like he was legitimately benched for Andy Dalton because he was just playing so bad, and Andy
Horrible.
Dalton stepped in and at least for the first start or two and was dealing. So
Yeah,
it was pretty telling to start with. So yeah, I mean, I'm encouraged by Bryce. I think he's worth a late round selection, but yeah, I think
absolutely.
in real life we still have a lot more to see. And then my last pick for my lottery quarterbacks, I got to get your thoughts on this because I have Justin Fields here,
Mhm.
and I don't know where he's really getting drafted. Like, I'll look at all these sites, and like, he's a lot higher in like some expert rankings and lists and stuff, but I rarely see him drafted in any mock drafts. And I also, in a standard league with one quarterback, I don't think many people are choosing Justin Fields as their solidified starter. So I felt weird about putting him here because I'm like, is he really a lottery? Because how late is he truly going? I just don't really know.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't really personally seen him be drafted to be a QB1 because there's guys like Stroud and Trevor, like that, and Caleb Williams. So I should have mentioned earlier. Like there are some guys like that that people still really do like. So Justin Fields, we've seen enough of him to like not love him, but he's also been in terrible situations forever. So he again has a pretty solid receiving core, and his offensive line's pretty decent on paper. He has a head coach that is a defensive minded guy, so I'm sure he wants to just pound the rock. I don't see why he can't be at least pretty good fantasy wise. Like real life, I hate him, but like
Yeah.
fantasy wise, I think that he could be worth something.
Yeah, I mean, if they are going to run the ball as much as it seems like they're advertising, he's going to be the center of it, and I think he could do very well
Hmm?
if that's the case. So, I mean, watching that guy in his small stretch with the Bears just simply run away from people was
Hmm.
he was my quarterback. I picked him up that year, and
Yeah,
I had him for that back stretch. It's like, oh my god, he just broke another like 46-yard touchdown. It's like, what the fuck? He wasn't even a design carry either. He just would take a drop back and realize like, why am I even looking to pass? Like, let me just run, and he
yeah,
just ran by everybody.
it's insane.
Yeah. Well, Justin Fields, I guess, will fit the lottery ticket quarterback, which is crazy because, you know, he went from being a potential complete bust to being a starter and then a backup, and then he's a starter again. So,
Hey,
very
yeah,
weird career arc for Justin Fields.
very.
Which makes me ask, who are your streamers then? Because Justin Fields at some point in time was a streamer
Yeah.
at quarterback. So, who are your top 3 streamers? Which I guess I will preface by saying we are projecting that these guys usually aren't getting drafted. So, that makes them streamers throughout the course of this.
Yeah. Streamers for me are guys. So I have one guy that I don't think will be drafted, but he is a starter. I do have another backup that I think if he comes in could be good for, a small stretch of games. And then one guy I have no idea what to think of. So the guy I do think that could be valuable is Cam Ward. Cam Ward, I mean, it's not too crazy to say that the first overall pick could potentially be a good fantasy quarterback. Like he has legs, he's generally really good in the red zone, and they do have an interesting receiving core that could be worth something if the rookies turn out. I also have Jackson Dart because while I wasn't a huge lover of his, I do think that one Brian Dayball has proven to develop quarterbacks, with a similar mindset to him. And also when you have Malik Neighbors and you have good rushing ability, I think that you can have some fantasy games where you just go off. So if Jackson Dart is facing the Bengals at any point this year, he's a plug in. And then I also have Anthony Richardson again because I don't think he should be drafted. I don't think that he should see your team for a while. But if Anthony Richardson comes in, has a couple good games where he looks like less of an idiot, it could be worth picking up because the ceiling on him is ridiculous, especially for fantasy reasons. Like it's just health and brain. Physically, he is the best quarterback to ever play, but like everything else is rough. But he's still like, I'm pretty sure he's younger than me, which is insane. So
Wow.
if he can get any of that together, please.
Yeah. I It's funny you mentioned Anthony Richardson because my top 3 streaming quarterbacks happen to feature the other guy. I have
Oh,
Daniel Jones on this list,
hmm,
and there's some lore to this because my Discord last offseason, I pitched to everybody that I think Daniel Jones, there's been flashes of good Daniel Jones football with Brian Dable. If he, kind of shows that again with that rushing upside, he could be a 15th, 16th round pick, at best, which is not much at all. And I was just shit on. Like I called him Mr. Upside. And then it was just a running joke for the next like 4 or 5 months. And of course, when he was benched and it all unfolded that way, I didn't hear the end of it. So I'm sure this will be the case again. But I do think if he does end up securing the starting job, which it sounds like is the case, at least as of right now, he has one of the better receiver rooms in football, which is kind of interesting because there's not really a star, but it's deep and they have talent. Tyler Warren, I think, is a huge addition. I think they are going to force feed that guy. No spoilers, but I think he is going to be a big help to that offense. So he's in a pretty good situation to succeed as long as he's not completely fried. It's all brain
yeah,
with him at this point.
yeah. The
Um,
upside's there. The upside is very much there. Hence the name Mr. Upside. But
yes, Mr.
yeah,
Upside, leave my boy Dan. I feel so bad for Daniel Jones, man. He's
he
got
has gone through it. Like he was overdrafted, which is not his fault.
no.
Like you can't help if you're overdrafted. He was a mildly productive quarterback from Duke that just happened to fit the prototype of a quarterback. So he got way overdrafted to like the shittiest fans in the league, and he had to start immediately, and he got punished, and he just never really had a good receiving core around him, never had a good line. The one time he had a decent roster around him, he went to the playoffs and almost won a game. So like there is some kind of argument, and he's not old. He's not like in his 30s. Like there is an argument where like he still has some element of decent football to him.
Yes, especially
The
in a new
upside, Mr.
environment.
Upside.
Mr. Upside. In a new environment, we haven't really seen him. We have not seen him outside of the Giants in a starting capacity. So who knows? Maybe he shocks the world.
And this is me saying I do think Daniel Jones has been horrible.
Yes.
Myself. Like I am not defending Daniel Jones, the football player, but I am saying he has not been helped at all. So if there is a chance for him to be helped, Indy is the place.
I do think the biggest disservice to a quarterback ever was when, after he had his big season and they were looking for another pass catcher, they just went and signed 30-year-old, 31-year-old music artist / football player Darren Waller instead of actually acquiring a true talent to kind of help the receiver room that was led by fucking Isaiah Hodgins. And then they give him that contract, don't give him any help, and then he blows it, and somehow it's his fault for being so bad. It's like,
yeah, Kenny Galladay. Here you go. Let's blow our. We're gonna blow our allowance on Kenny fucking Galladay. God, I hate New York. Yeah, they've had the same GM through all of this. By the way, he has not been fired. They have had him throughout the entire Dayball administration. Like, it's awful.
Well, they're a tandem, so I feel like one won't go without the other.
No, not until they get drafted into war. That's their literally only hope. The only hope to get them out of New York.
Well, if there was one guy I trust to lead my platoon into war, it would be Geno Smith. I feel like no one will draft Geno Smith in fantasy, which is completely understandable unless you're in a deep enough league, 2-quarterback league. Although I do think in the right matchup, if they get themselves in a game where the run game kind of gets phased out, and that's something you can predict. Of course, everything is all about matchups in fantasy football. If you catch him in the right spot against a team he's likely going to be in a pass-heavy game script for, I think Geno Smith, as we've seen, definitely has what it takes to just sling the rock. And he's got probably, I don't want to say better weapons, but at least just as good as what he had in Seattle. Like Genty, Bowers, Jacoby, Jack Besh, and then DK sucked. So what was he? Yeah. Lockett was old, and then JS.
DK was he's better than Jacoby Myers to me, but it's not like there's a crazy gap. It's not like he's infinitely better than Myers, and then plus to have Brock Bowers, Geno's never had a good tight end. We've never seen him have these kind of players, so it'll be different, but it'll be good. It'll be good. And the only reason he wasn't here for me was because I thought it was rational if someone drafted him. I'd be like, if you do, I'm not going to blame you. I love Jack Besh, love Jacoby Myers, one of the best tight ends in the league. The offensive line's not that bad. There is a chance he's actually pretty damn good this year.
Yeah, I think to me it feels like he's so safe to the point where people just will avoid him because the ceiling feels so capped. It is a Chip Kelly offense with Ashton Genty. They're going to run the ball, but in a pinch, he's a safe bet for 14 to 17 points.
Yeah, I mean, if I turned on a random Geno Smith game, I would expect him to have 230, a touchdown and a pick, 2 touchdowns and a pick. That's just what I'm guessing. 30 rushing yards, 20 rushing yards. But you take that. If you're in a pinch, your guy gets hurt. These are streamers. You just want a guy to get you 230 passing yards and only 1 turnover. That's perfect. I'll take it.
And not just completely be a donut hole in your lineup, which I have definitely experienced.
Right. And that's why I do like to pick up, good, durable quarterbacks because that does matter. But if not, you can get Geno or Mr. Upside. Geno is Mr. No Upside, Mr. Floor.
Yes, you're right. Well, that brings me to my last player, which is also Cam Ward, for similar reasons as to what you mentioned before. I think he will be very boomer bust in 2025. I think this is a guy that definitely can shoulder the responsibility of a game where he has to throw 50 passes if push comes to shove. And I think that will happen. And he will be able to maybe not win the game, but produce well enough to help you in fantasy. I think there are games where they can be losing by a couple scores and here comes Cam Ward in garbage time to sling for 347 yards and like 3 touchdowns because he was fighting near the end. So I think in the right matchup, Cam Ward could definitely have a pretty high ceiling with how much I anticipate him to be passing his rookie season.
Oh yeah.
So that brings us to our top 5 overall. This was tough. Like, this is honestly, I don't want to say I had no rhyme or reason behind this, but it's so difficult to put in order how these guys are all going to finish.
Right.
Like, I have my guesses, but
I kind of just put who I felt safest on my team, like who I would draft the highest, really. Like it sounds stupid, but like there's not a lot of rhyme or reason, really.
Yeah, I honestly, yeah, that's kind of the way that I'm looking at it, how it shaped up anyway. So my quarterback number 5, which is someone I'm going to kind of go on a tangent about for a second, is Patrick Mahomes. Like, I feel like there's a lot of napping individuals when it comes to the Chiefs this offseason. Like, people have the Broncos coming away with the division all of a sudden. People are saying Mahomes isn't the best quarterback in the league anymore. It's like a lot of conversation that I just can't get behind or understand, considering they were quite literally in the Super Bowl last year. Just because they got killed by a very good team doesn't mean they also weren't a very good team.
It's not his fault.
No,
no.
This is a guy that we've seen him have QB1 type of fantasy seasons before. He didn't have his receivers last year. They all got hurt at one point or another, except for Worthy. And now he gets Marquise Brown for the full year. He gets Rashee Rice back. Xavier Worthy's in his second season, feeling comfortable.
Yeah, and they have depth now. Like before, when they went down, it was okay, Justin Watson, like your turn, pal. Like okay, like 50-year-old Juju and D-Hop. Like they brought in a rookie that I love, Jalen Royals, that I think could fill in at any position for receiver and do really well at, and possibly even be their second best receiver, dare I say. So I do think a lot of their receiving room now.
Yeah, definitely.
Plus Kelsey. Yeah.
This is a team that threw the ball a ton last year. It wasn't very far, but Mahomes was always throwing it. And yards after catch are still points for quarterback. So
yeah, who gives a shit where it goes? Like
exactly,
it all ends up the same on my phone. So
exactly,
that's what I matter about.
So I have Mahomes at 5. At 4, I have Dak. We talked about it already, but I think Dak Prescott really could have a season that calls for MVP consideration, and of course that will translate to fantasy production. I have Stroud at 3. If I'm going to compare him to having the Joe Burrow type season, I have to put him in my top 5. Joe Burrow finished 3rd last year. So I mean, this is one of my surefire takes of the offseason. Like, I think Stroud is going to go that bonkers to be QB3. At 2, I have Josh Allen. The Bills, as much as they will run the ball, literally rely on him so much, to the point where if he's not producing, then the Bills are losing the game or a bad team. So, and then at number 1, I have Lamar. I have no reason to believe things will be any different in that offense. So
that's fair. Yeah, mine felt pretty. I don't really know if they're chalk because there's not a lot of rankings out right now. Really, it's just kind of based off of a little bit of last year, a little bit of how I think they're going to go this year. But for years, I appreciate Dak and Stroud because I am a big believer of both. And I know a lot of people, I'm assuming, probably don't have them both top 5, but we've seen them at that level before. Stroud, maybe not for fantasy, but he has performed that well before. And Dak has been that good in fantasy before. And not to mention, they both can provide an inkling on the ground. So there is a chance that they could be that good. But for mine, it would be sacrilegious not to put him there. Number 5, Joe Burrow. Because if he even touches last year again, that's a top 5 quarterback on your team. I mean, like, especially to have like mush for a wrist for the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season, produce pretty bad, and then come back and just rip for like 5,000 yards and 40 touchdowns. Like, that means something. So, like, if this is like, knock on every piece of wood, his first healthy offseason in forever, I think it could be pretty dangerous. They also didn't like really lose any receivers or offensive linemen that were any good, so I don't expect a drop off. At 4, I have Jalen Hurts, only because the tush push was not banned. If it was banned, he's probably like 29th. But the fact that the most stupid fantasy. And I had him last year. Like, I appreciated it, but like, it's just so cheap. He's not that like he's not a good passing producer. He doesn't really produce a lot in terms of like actual like designed QB run play. Like, they're not running a lot of QB powers. They're not running a lot of traps with him. Like, it's just falling forward of a literal inch, but he does it. So he he'll get 15 touchdowns again. Number 3, I have Jaden Daniels. I didn't realize how much rushing production he actually had last year, and he missed a few games. Like, he was on pace to come pretty close to 1,000 yards rushing, which is crazy, and on pace for about 4,000 passing yards. So if he gets even any better this year, I don't see why not. And then we share the same top 2: Josh Allen 2, Lamar Jackson 1, because Lamar Jackson put up the most disturbingly good stat line for a quarterback I've ever seen in my life, and he's not getting any worse.
No, not at all.
Sadly.
For reference, he scored about 50 more fantasy points than Josh Allen last year, and Josh was the second quarterback in scoring in 2024. So if that goes to show you how good Lamar is, I don't know what will.
I mean, go ahead. I was just gonna just reiterate how disgusting his stat line was. Like, for a rushing quarterback, for a quarterback that you usually rely on him just to run the ball a lot, to throw for like almost 4,200 yards, 41 touchdowns to 4 picks. That's like an Aaron Rodgers passing stat line. And then he ran for like 900 yards.
Yeah, I mean, it was just unfair with Henry. Like, they really unlocked what that backfield could look like with those two guys. And I'm glad they did, because it looked bad to start the season. Like, the first week or two, I was like, they're not going to be able to figure this out. I feel like Henry's first 6 carries, he got stuffed. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, they got to figure this out. And then they did. And it was the most terrifying thing I think we've ever seen at its best. The thing with specifically Jalen Hurts is, like, I wanted to put him up here, but I can't imagine they're going to be much heavier in terms of passing the ball. And I just don't think he runs enough to make up for that, because they're going to be running with Saquon so much. And that's what really hindered the value of basically everyone else on the entire offense last year. Like, he was QB8 last year, which I didn't realize. But for a guy that gets drafted like round 3, 4 right now, like, I would say it's a bit high when, Josh and Lamar go just around earlier. Like, and Jaden, I think, is definitely a guy I'd rather have in like the 5th round, or maybe 4th, than Jalen in the 3rd or 4th. So it's weird. Like, it just depends on the direction you feel like the Eagles offense goes next season. And I feel like it could be heavier in terms of passing, but
it should be if they want to save Saquon.
Yeah.
They should run the ball. Like, if you're talking about like game to game trying to produce the best offense you can, they shouldn't pass the ball one time. But like, if they want to save Saquon and his career, they might have to pass the ball or let somebody else run.
Yeah, well, they do have AJ Dillon now.
Catch me all the way asleep. I am napping in the corner. I am napping at the party, petting the dog. I am not interested in AJ Dillon whatsoever.
You're not interested in Quadzilla? This man is those might be the 4 biggest quads to ever.
It is true.
Ever played together in football history.
And you got some pasty quads and Will Shipley at RB3 right behind him. Some pasty hairy quads.
Pasty hairy.
I know all about that. You got. But like, they just have it's such a weird looking. Like, I feel like Kenneth Gainwell did provide some actual pretty good value. And then they bring in like AJ Dillon, which he's a power back. You don't even run the ball in the goal line. What do you need him for? Like, you have your quarterback fall forward. Like, he doesn't do anything else. I don't get it.
Maybe they'll just like Tucker Craftify him and just make him the tush push guy.
Maybe.
It's like, what else is he really going to be?
He has the quads for it. Yeah.
Yeah. What else are you going to use him for? I feel like AJ Dillon should be well on his way to Pro League Farm Simulator before having an RB2 job.
Yeah.
I think something that we have to discuss that the Discord kind of brought up the other day was very interesting, was the conversation of sauce and condiments.
This is true. Oh my God. This went on for like 3 hours. It felt like I was at work during this whole damn thing. It was ridiculous.
Somehow an argument broke out over sauce rankings, like ketchup and like those types of sauces and condiments, and it sparked the idea. Why don't we kind of quickly give a ranking and kind of feed into that? Because there are sauces that deserve some love, but then there are sauces that Austin here was like putting down, and I was like very confused. So I just want to give you the platform to express your emotions about one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I mean, these kids were putting up just some stupid sauces. Like, I'm gonna drop my top 3 overrated right now because I heard some love for dumb ones, like ranch dressing. Oh my god, I hate ranch dressing. People talking about it being like LeBron. No, it's Josh Hart. Ranch dressing is Josh Hart. It can do a lot of things okay, but it's putting up 12, 6, and 5. I don't care about ranch. It doesn't carry anything. It's a role player. I also put mustard on there because it's just so divisive. Like mustard, you either love it or you hate it. I hate it, but I feel like it like legitimately divides the country. Mustard is ruining this country. And then I also put, not that I hate it, I actually like it, but it's overrated. And I just putting hot sauce on everything because I think that there are some hot sauces that are like just Tabasco, just straight up Tabasco that you pull out of your fridge and you have to like shake the glass bottle and it comes out drop by drop. It's not that good. Like it doesn't make my eggs much better. It just makes my tongue hurt. And it's not fun. Like you can't even taste it.
I
It just
thought you
hurts.
were a big hot sauce guy.
I like Frank's Red Hot. Difference.
Okay,
I
okay.
like buffalo
Sorry,
sauce. I
sorry.
like buffalo sauce because there's like a flavor profile. It's not just like hot pepper on your tongue.
Well, it's funny you say that because I also feel similarly about a couple, but I have to address the slander on ranch. I mean, being from Buffalo, I am about as I won't say anti-ranch as it gets, but I am very pro blue cheese over ranch, and that's kind of the big thing here. But nonetheless, like ranch, when it comes to sauces and condiments, I think the thing that makes you the best is how you work with so many different things. And ranch is as diverse as a player as they come. Like we're talking about ranch can go on salad. It could go, you can have it with like a side, like with fries. You can have it on
Oh my god.
basically, you can put it with chicken. Like you can eat ranch
I mean,
with
you could if you're an
anything.
idiot.
Like people's go to, like if you have something that's a dry meat or a dry food and you're like, what can I put on this right now? Ranch is usually that go to.
I don't need it. I got a wet throat. I don't need none of that.
But like,
I don't need no sauce. But I've also never eaten a salad in my life, so that doesn't apply to me. But like,
how can you not consider salad? How have you never had a salad in your life?
I've never eaten one. I swear to God, I hate lettuce.
It's tasteless. It's just
No, no, I'm a super taster. I can taste anything.
okay. Well,
I like cilantro tastes like soap to me. I'm one of those.
well, I mean, I don't know. Just ranch is like universally respected. It almost feels like you are trashing LeBron when you say like
No, he's
ranch
the goat.
is
Ranch is not the
overrated.
goat. Ranch is not the goat.
I think it could be considered. But my top 3 overrated sauces, I think I also definitely put mustard here. And I think you kind of encapsulated exactly why. It is so divisive. I land on the side of hatred toward mustard. I think mustard is extremely, extremely just one role it plays well, and that's on a hot dog. When else do you see someone using mustard? Like it might do well in different types of mixes for other sauces. And to that point, ranch does mix well and make a lot of other great things, like Chick-fil-A sauce. I'm pretty sure it's in Big Mac sauce. Ranch does a lot of things.
It's a small
Very
role. Mayo does the heavy lifting.
okay,
Mayo does most of the heavy lifting in those sauces. You can taste it.
But with mustard, what are we doing with mustard? It's like it goes on a hot dog, and that's probably it.
Honey mustard, I have a soft spot for, but like if we're talking just like straight up yellow ballpark mustard, I don't want any part of it.
Exactly.
Get
It's
it
just
away from me.
nasty.
If I was on a date and like a girl used mustard, I'm like, you're not getting called back. I'm sorry.
Well,
Never
I
looked
can't
the same.
believe you had it on here, but I also had a hot sauce. I thought I was gonna have to go to war over this, but you had it on your overrated list.
Like I get why people like it. Like I get adding spice to food. I like to add a little spice, but like people just put that shit on everything. It's weird.
Yes.
You're not cool. You're
Talk
weird.
about a crazy PR team. Hot sauce has a crazy PR team. There's a camp of people that will defend hot sauce till their deathbed, and they put it like you said, everything like mac and cheese, eggs, like their salad. I've seen people put hot sauce on legitimately anything they eat. It's like a need for them. It's crazy.
It's because some people are stupid.
Some
A
people's
lot of
taste
people,
buds just don't exist. Like,
and that's the problem for me. It's like I like to have flavor. What are we
yes.
doing? Like the consistency is just super wet.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing that makes it a good consistency. It just makes all your food soggy and it hurts to eat. But the
Yes,
flavor isn't that good.
I agree. And that's kind of the problem. Like hot sauce is so overbearing, and sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. And that's why I have ketchup on my overrated list. Like ketchup is ketchup, like don't get me wrong, everyone loves ketchup. But other than fries, burger, or hot dog, what else are you using ketchup for?
Do you want to know what I've put ketchup on in my life?
I go ahead.
Apples, carrots,
Oh
anything you could think of. Celery.
no.
I used to my parents used to limit how much ketchup I could eat per week. I used to get ketchup for my birthday. I'm not kidding. I have a picture of it.
That's awful.
It's
In the
it's I, I
nicest
don't
way possible. That's the most disgusting thing I've ever heard.
it's
It's
fantastic. It's so
on an
good. I don't.
apple?
Well, not on the apple, but like you dip the slices. Yeah.
Well, okay. You're not helping yourself with that.
I'm
That's crazy.
not. I'm not an animal.
I don't know. Like that's crazy. Like hot sauce. Ketchup just masks the taste of like everything and anything, which is good, but also just bad for that same exact reason. And it just isn't diverse to me. Like you look at ketchup
Oh
and
my god,
ranch,
so
these are
diverse.
probably the top two contenders for goat sauce. And at least from a broader perspective, and ketchup to me just is not nearly as diverse, and it's too powerful. It can just absolutely kill the flavor of everything else you're eating. I can't. Ketchup definitely makes this list as much as I do use it and like it.
It's great.
Although
So good.
Apple is crazy. That's insane.
I don't do that anymore, but I definitely grew up like tortilla chips, potato chips,
What?
everything. I still do tortilla chips, by the way, but
Oh,
everything I could get my paws on that worked with ketchup, I was doing it.
oh
Goldfish,
Jesus.
peanuts,
Goldfish,
yeah.
peanuts. So literally
Yeah.
anything.
At Five Guys, I'm dipping the shell, I'm popping the whole thing in. Yeah,
Oh,
I eat peanuts whole. By the way, that's a thing that I found out was not normal.
you swallow them?
Yeah, I
Like,
ate the whole peanut.
do you
Like
chew it?
I eat it like I eat popcorn. Like you just throw it in your mouth and eat it. Yeah.
All right. In a way, I do get that because I do just throw the whole peanut in my mouth and then I'll crack it and take the shell out, but I do plop the whole thing in.
No, I just eat it. Yeah.
All right. Well, that I can't relate to. Well, I wanted to give love to my top three sauces too because I feel like we have to respect ranch. I as much as I am pro blue cheese, ranch is still so diverse. It has done me well in so many situations, and I feel like it has to be respected. And then, of course, I have blue cheese up here. Blue cheese definitely is so damn good. If you've never had blue cheese that was buffalo blue cheese, I get why you might not like it, but there are so many good homemade blue cheeses in Western New York, and I recommend anybody come and try it with the wings. I know it's very cliche. It's the big thing for Buffalo. Oh, the chicken wings and the blue cheese. It's like, to an extent, it's very overblown, but it is as good as it's advertised as. And then this is my personal ketchup almost in a way. I use Chick-fil-A sauce for a lot of things. Like I go to the store and I buy the bottle and I put it on a lot of different things, a lot of different meats. I'll eat it with my fries. Chick-fil-A sauce definitely was better when I only had it like once a month when I went to Chick-fil-A. Like it was better at a smaller frequency, but I still definitely appreciate how good it is. So
I appreciate that. I actually almost put Chick-fil-A sauce.
Yeah.
Because it is great. Like I haven't been eating it that long. I used to just kind of like eat it with ketchup, but like it actually is pretty damn good. I appreciate it. And it's weird because like kind of like the base ingredient is like honey mustard.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what you're getting the most out of it, but like
Yes.
it's still really good.
It's delicious.
Okay.
So,
I don't share any of those in my actual top 3. Because number 1 is ketchup.
Yeah, saw that coming.
Number 2 is his cousin, barbecue sauce. And if you're from the Midwest, you got to know about it because like barbecue sauce is a pretty big thing. And if you choose to, put it on everything as well. Any meat, you can pick out any meat on this planet. Barbecue sauce makes it better. It's just a fact. And then number 3, a guy I haven't even heard being brought up yet, marinara. He's not crazy. He's not crazy versatile, but like
Okay.
he does his job so damn well. Like he is a corner 3 shooter. That's what he does. But like he's Ray Allen. He doesn't miss. Like have you ever just like not enjoyed like a mozzarella stick and marinara sauce?
That's a top 5 appetizer combo
It's
of
the
all
greatest
time.
thing of all time. It never misses.
No,
Marinara sauce never misses. He's automatic.
I don't think I've ever had. I don't think I've ever seen a bad performance from marinara and mozzarella sticks anywhere, no matter
Nope.
what restaurant I've eaten at. None,
Nope.
never. You
even
can
if
never
the
go
actual
wrong.
entree sucks, even if the place got a D on the health inspection, it still is so good.
I've never been steered wrong by that appetizer.
Nope.
And I think honestly, the mozzarella sticks probably are sometimes mid, but the marinara sauce, you're right, definitely
It's not the
just
marinare's
not
fault.
underwhelmed at all.
Yeah.
All right. I realized we're at an hour. We haven't even started the tight ends.
I don't even have time for tight ends here. We can go for it. We can kind of speed run it.
Yeah, we could try to run through it because there really is only so much to talk about when it comes to fantasy tight ends. So we could definitely kind of get through this one pretty quick. My top 3 fade tight ends. We'll start back at the top here. Number 1 has to be Travis Kelce. He's going right now in like the 7th, sometimes 8th round. And it's not that the value is bad necessarily, but Kelce is one of those guys that you draft as your tight end 1. And because of his name, you will play him week in and week out, waiting for him to have a vintage Kelce game. And it will just rarely happen, if at all. Like, I think his role is going to be reduced. They're just going to want to keep him fresh for the postseason. And that's when he'll kind of maybe come back to form. But throughout the regular season, I think he'll just be a headache. I have TJ Hawkinson on here as well. He is like going in like the 5th round, something like that, maybe even 6th. I've seen 2, which is slightly late, but usually 5th in that range. And it's like, this is a guy that came back from injury and really didn't wow me at all. I mean, he had like 3 finishes over 10 points, which is usually the case for most tight ends. Tight ends just aren't very good as far as fantasy production goes, but he just gets this reputation as being one of the best receiving tight ends, and I just don't see it. His best finishes at the end of last year were very, very modest, to say the least. And then I also have Jonnu Smith on here. I mean, I was fading him. I had him on here before he got traded to the Steelers. We are going to save that whole trade breakdown for Wednesday, or Thursday, I guess. But I had Jonnu Smith on here prior to the trade, and I have him here now. It's like he's now the 2nd tight end in Pittsburgh. They're going to be running the ball a lot. He's not going to get nearly as many touches, let alone design touches, as he saw in Miami. So I would not expect him to come close to those numbers. And I got to be completely out on John.
I also actually originally had Jonnu, and then I just put Steelers tight ends on here instead because I know a lot of people also have liked Muth for a while, like as like a later round pickup. If for whatever reason you can't get a good tight end, just get Muth. Please don't. Please don't this year.
No.
Like Jonnu Smith is a much better receiver than Pat Freiermuth is. So like anything that he was taking, I don't like it. I don't think he's a slot guy. I don't think he's a guy you can put out there to win a lot of routes, win at the catch point a ton. He's whatever. I also shared Travis Kelce as well, and I feel like I've been having to defend this a lot. Travis Kelce has like 5 touchdowns combined the last 2 years. Do we think that's going up when he has a stacked receiving core? And I've seen like the argument where like there'll be less double teaming Travis Kelce. I don't think people are doing that much anymore. He's just struggling to get open because he's old as hell. So like I'm not buying the 36-year-old chubby tight end these days. I just don't see it. Like I don't see him being their priority anymore. And that's okay. But like you said before, like I think the name is doing a lot. People remember what he was doing to their favorite team in 2021, 2022, and they have PTSD. And they're like, no, I hate that guy. I see him like he's gonna destroy me again. He's not. It's over. He can't hurt you anymore. And then I also have Dallas Goedert, because a lot of people love Dallas Goedert. A lot of people think Dallas Goedert is always still worth like that Pat Fryermuth tier. They're like, oh, if AJ Brown or Devontae Smith get hurt, he's fairly valuable. But to me, if they don't get hurt, he is a dud. And there's just not enough. They don't throw the ball enough for one to support the third receiving option on the team. But then they run the ball a shit ton. So now I really don't think that it's just going to work at all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, there's just so much not to like about going back to the Steelers tight ends quick. It's just like Johnny Smith probably won't be out there too much, or at least when he is, he'll be helping in run support. And then it's like with Fryermuth, yeah, I think you described it perfectly. This is the kind of guy that people are like, yeah, he had a couple flashes early in his career, and I think people have been waiting on that guy's breakout for so long, and it just really fully hasn't ever happened. And I think that time has passed of when we could see more of it. So the Steelers tight ends encapsulated was a good route to take.
Yeah. And these guys aren't bad tight ends. Just to, like, if you want these guys on your team, it's not terrible, but the value for where they're currently going, we're not fans. That's kind of the big deal with that.
Well, my fans, I'm a fan of a couple of tight ends in terms of best value, and this was pretty easy for me, and these names will come up later in the tight end category. But my top 3 best value tight ends. Number 3, I have Tyler Warren. I alluded to it earlier in the episode. I think this guy is going to get the ball so much. They were thrilled when they were able to nab him at 14, and there's really no defined number one guy in this offense, and I think it could easily be Tyler Warren. The Colts are built to have a tight end as that guy. So I am very encouraged to see what his volume, I think it's going to be sheer volume for him, and it's going to take him pretty far in his rookie season. At number 2, I have Sam Laporta. He's going like 7th round, late 6-ish, 7th round, kind of in that range. And I'm just in for a bounce back year. It's kind of that simple. He had 10 touchdowns his rookie season. This is a team that I do think will be passing a bit more in 2025. And he is probably their second most talented receiver. Third, I guess it depends on what you think of JMO. But probably the third most talented receiver, at least over the middle of the field. He's going to be that big target for them. So I expect Laporta to see more volume in 2025 as well. And then in number 1, I have Kittle for obvious reasons. And the fact that he's going in the 4th round, 2 rounds behind Bowers, a whole round behind McBride, when I think he can very easily be tight end 1 is pretty crazy. Without Ayuk too on top of it all. Like there's no Ayuk to start the season. So Kittle could very easily be the top option again.
Absolutely. Yeah, I thought about George Kittle because I'm like, part of me is just like I'm waiting for him to fall off at some point because he's a little older. But right now, he is the best tight end in football. So it's like I think it's weird why people hate him as a fantasy option when like he was the best producing receiver last year. He was extremely efficient, had touchdowns, had yards. Like I don't understand like the worry there
at all.
No, I shared a similar name. I shared Sam Laporta on mine because I do think that a lot of like the easy touchdowns are going to go away when you don't have Ben Johnson to scheme you open so much. But I do think when Jared Goff is not going to have those kind of targets, he's going to have to look short. He's going to have to look to old reliable. And I think St. Brown will be a beneficiary, but I also think that Laporta will be a pretty big beneficiary because in close games and tight games and late games, they do look to Laporta over the middle a lot. So I could see him being a lot more involved this year. I also have, you'll love this one, David Njoku. I have gotten him in like the second to last round in every fantasy draft that we have ever done together because I'm like, I don't want to reach on a tight end. And David Njoku, last time he had Flacco, was a baller. And he was pretty good last year before he got hurt. So I'm taking him like every single time. Second to last round. Don't let him fall to me. We're winning the whole thing. And then I also have Tucker Kraft. Because Tucker Kraft's another guy that's going like 12th round. I'm seeing him go undrafted. But Tucker Kraft was really, really, really good at certain parts of last year. And that was his first year really starting. So like I do think that there is still a lot more to be seen from Tucker Kraft. And I don't think that bringing in guys like Matthew Golden, like I said before, was enough to really take away from his targets. And if anything, I think that they gave a lot of schemed looks to Jaden Reed, but down the stretch, they gave a lot more to Tucker Kraft. And it's kind of weird to compare those two, but like Tucker Kraft's like a rack specialist tight end. So like he kind of lives off of scheme targets. And if they give him more of those this year, like they did last year, he'll go off.
Yeah, I love that. Tucker Kraft is, I think I had him like top 5 or no, not quite top 5. I think he was my 6th best tight end when we did our tight end summit. So I am as much in love with Tucker Kraft as the next guy. And you're right. I mean, I almost wish I would have given him some more love when talking about the tight ends here, because I do think he flies under my radar when it comes to fantasy football for whatever reason too. So, and I do think the Packers are looking to pass the ball more, which will only play to his benefit. So he's like one of the only players outside of Josh Jacobs and of course the offensive line that is probably not rotated out that much. Like the receivers are rotating constantly, whereas Tucker Kraft is probably that one consistent piece on a down-to-down basis. But with best value, there's also some lottery ticket tight ends that we wanted to touch on too. And there are definitely some guys that fit this description, because I'm a big fan of a few down here. And my number one guy, not necessarily in order, but to start with, I have Chig Okonkwo. If I'm going to believe Cam Ward can be a lottery selection, I think Chig Okonkwo could also be, because outside of Calvin Ridley, he is probably their second best. He is their second best pass catcher. I feel like I could say that confidently. He's explosive with the ball in their hands. And I think if that offense wants to move, they're going to have to find a way to get yards after catch. And that's exactly Chig Okonkwo's game. So I'm looking to see him kind of finally break out. I feel like we've been waiting on him to do more.
Yeah, he's young as hell. He's still really young too, so it's not crazy to keep expecting that.
Right. Well, Chig is on this list for me. I also have Brenton Strange on here. I think Brenton Strange in a role of being the tight end one in an offense that I think is going to be passing quite a bit is going to be very beneficial for him. Almost like in that the same way Sam Laporta kind of thrived, like you were saying, that short over the middle target. I think I could see him in late game situations where they're just trying to move down the field quick and they just dink it down to him like 3 or 4 times in the same drive. And all of a sudden he goes from like 3 catches for 45 yards to like 7 catches for 65 yards. And maybe he even scores. And it's like, that's the type of tight end I think Brenton Strange is going to be. And they have talked very highly of him, the new regime, since getting in there. And lastly, I have our boy Jake's potential offensive rookie of the year, Terrence Ferguson, as another lottery option. Who knows? Maybe Tyler Higbee is going to be a Miami Dolphin at some point. And Terrence Ferguson slides right in as tight end 1. Then I will fully believe the offensive rookie of the year hype that he could be that good. But they have I firmly believe they have big plans for him, whether it's this year or next year. And there's a real chance he could be a difference maker in that offense. So I'm going with Terrence.
Yeah, I love that. Terrence Ferguson, like I've said it a million times, I wasn't a massive fan of his coming out, but I think that he fits their current scheme so unbelievably well. So if he does get any chance to start, he could go off. And I did share Brenton Strange with you because I do really like the possibility here. I will say there is a chance he is this year's Zamir White. There is a chance where it's just like player that he's played in small flashes and he played fine, and he's getting a full-time role this year where you're like, okay, it has to work. There is a chance he is that, but I also think there is a chance that he's strong, he's athletic, pretty good after the catch, that with this current regime, he could definitely make it work. So I do think that he is a good lottery ticket. I did put Colston Loveland here as well because he does go fairly late, and there is a chance that if he is this, next level receiving threat of a tight end in the Ben Johnson scheme, like he could be as high as their third best pass catcher on the team. There is a good chance of that, actually. And then I also put Isaiah Likely because in the event that they do trade Mark Andrews, Isaiah Likely might be a top 3 tight end in fantasy football. Might be.
That was the biggest, most obvious lottery ticket tight end, and I didn't even write him down. I fucking missed that by a wide.
And we've talked enough about Isaiah Likely to cover our asses there because we've talked about him being a top 10 tight end already in the NFL. So if he gets a chance,
Yeah.
I'm taking him like 3rd round. I'm not even kidding.
That is by definition lottery. So,
yeah.
Well, on that note, Isaiah Likely could also be a streamer if in the right case, because he's a guy that if he's not starting is very easily on the waiver wire. So he very easily could fit the streamer category as well. But my top 3 streamers, this was difficult to do, but I came away with 3 guys that I think fit the description well. One being Zach Ertz. Talk about reliable. I think people are finally like, yeah, this guy's falling off. There was a ton of Ben Sinnott love going into the season last year. I don't think it's necessarily as strong this year, but people are out on Zach Ertz, and I don't think anybody's going to be really drafting him, including myself. But if you need a tight end, if you have a bye week that you're trying to get around or someone gets hurt, I could still see Ertz being relied on in that offense because I don't know who else they really got, to be quite honest with you. I have Noah Gray on here. I don't think anyone is going to draft much of Noah Gray. And I think in the whole idea of Travis Kelce potentially kind of relaxing throughout the regular season, they're going to need someone to step up and take away some snaps he might be vacating. And as you have definitely spoken to quite a bit on our podcast, Noah Gray just always seems to be doing something when he's on the field. So
yeah, he's good.
If you find him in the right matchup at the right time, he definitely will be, I think, a pretty solid streamer. And then the same thing with Will Dissly. It's like, I don't think anyone really likes Will Dissly. I know they drafted Oronde Gadsden, which I feel like almost is like the Ben Sinnott of this year. Like the fantasy community loves the idea of Oronde Gadsden, but he just does not. He's just not the kind of tight end that will be on the field in a Harbaugh Roman offense much at all. So I think that kind of kills that dream. They brought in Tyler Conklin, but I think they love Will Dissly. Like, I don't think he was just on the field last year because they had nobody else. I think they just did like him that much because he is such a good run blocker. And then he proved to have some receiving upside too. So I think Will Dissly will kind of almost be what he was last year.
Will Dissly had didn't he have 8 touchdowns one time? like I'm pretty sure in Seattle one time there was a stretch of 5 games where Will Dissly was the tight end 3. It was insane. I remember it vividly.
Yes,
but I appreciate that. I actually put Terrence Ferguson here.
Okay.
Because to me he's still the backup. I think Tyler Higbee is still a clear-cut starter if he's healthy. But if he goes down, if he gets traded, like you said, Terrence Ferguson immediately is a pretty high value player. So I do anticipate he'll probably be on the waivers. But I would swoop him up immediately if literally anything happens to Higbee. It won't be like Colby Parkinson this last year. It'll be better than that. Then very similarly, I put Elijah Arroyo on here. We talked about him being an extremely talented tight end. If anything were to happen to Noah Fant, it was probably me. I probably did it. But Elijah Arroyo immediately will be their best receiving tight end. AJ Barner is a really, really good player, but he's more of a blocker inline player, where Elijah Arroyo currently, to this day, aside from Marquez Valdes-Scantling, is their best field stretcher. He is their second best vertical threat on the team. So I think that he could have some crazy games. And then I put the best gritty in the game, Mike Gesicki, where he is the Bengals' 3rd receiving option right now. He is their slot receiver. He had pretty close to 700 yards last year. But the whole reason he wasn't super productive in fantasy was just the touchdowns didn't come to him. But I do anticipate Jamar Chase probably not having 17 touchdowns again. They might Megatron him and put 2 corners on him and just make somebody else win. And if that's the case, I can see Mike Gesicki being pretty valuable. And yeah, I mean, he wasn't that valuable last year. I mean, 2 touchdowns sucks. That sucks to look at, but that also kind of gives you hope that he probably won't be that bad at touchdown value again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where Gesicki, it's almost like Isaiah Likely to some extent. It's like when T. Higgins was out, Gesicki was going crazy, and when Andrews wasn't playing, Likely was going bonkers. So it's one of those things where he absolutely is a waiver wire type of option or a guy that you can only stream in the right specific scenario. But when they're playing, they are a top 5 tight end, literally. So that will bring us to our actual top 5 overall, which
well done.
Really, thanks. I've been working on my transition skills. I've been trying to think. I'm very too static. I got to be more fluent. But our top 5 overall, I mean, this is almost as chalk as it gets. I have Kittle at 1, Bowers at 2, Trey McBride at 3, Laporta at 4, and then at 5, I went with Warren. I'm like, this is the wild card spot, and
Okay.
I'm sitting here advocating for how much I believe he's going to get the ball. And if he's going to be, in my mind, potentially Daniel Jones' number 1 target, I've seen them talk about him potentially being used in a similar role to what he was used in at Penn State. Whether I believe it or not is another story. But hey, I think they love him that much. I think they're going to abuse him. Like, honestly, I think the coach do abuse him, like beat him with like a belt type of abuse.
Beat him with reeds. Yes.
beat him with reeds. And it's going to have to lead to fantasy production. Like, I could see him having 10 plus touchdowns his rookie year, ground and air. So
4 rushing. Yeah.
Yeah. So Warren for me easily fits that description. I don't know who else to fucking
100%.
put there either. So
I do. TJ Hawkinson, number 5.
no.
TJ Hawkinson also came back from being shattered today. Was it Kirby Joseph? Did he get him too?
Yep.
Yeah. Kirby Joseph just stealing people's careers and knees. But I do think that the year after you come back from injury, like there is a little bit of leeway. Especially with someone like Darnold, who Darnold's only job on this earth is to push the ball downfield. Like that's all he is capable of doing in this world. And I do think that JJ McCarthy, he had rapport with Colson Loveland. Like he does have the ability to target the tight end. And I think TJ Hawkinson did prove when he was healthy to be a damn good route runner. Like he just has like that Kelsey light to sit down and get open. Number 4, I put Sam Laporta. Same as you. It's just same as I explained earlier. Good tight end. That's about it. And then it gets weird here. It gets kind of weird. Number 3, I have George Kittle, and I have the top 3 in a very similar bucket. So don't go crazy. But George Kittle, the only thing disqualifying him versus the top 2 is just age. Where like he has the chance to regress. He has Ayuk coming back. The target share might not be as good. Number 2, Brock Bowers. Love Brock Bowers. But we also haven't seen him with Geno Smith. We don't quite know how this works. And, bringing in a heavy running back game, like the reason that they also probably passed the ball so much last year is Zamir White was dog shit, like really, really bad. So now that they have Ashton Genty, now that they have a different quarterback that likes to push the ball downfield, I think you might just not see Brock Bowers peppered with the same love. And number 1, I'm going Trey McBride. And it's my pick to be the top tight end last year. Because if I ask somebody, there was a tight end last year that is 25 years old who had 111 catches for 1,140 yards. Like, and he only had 2 touchdowns. Like, if he caught even 6 touchdowns, he's tight end 1. But he caught very few touchdowns and still was the tight end 3 at 25 years old. Like, it should not be crazy to think that guy could be tight end 1.
Yeah, that's a very strong argument to use because he was in a bad touchdown drought last year. Like my dumbass was betting on him to score a touchdown for like 4 or 5 straight weeks, and it just never hit. It was like he's got to do it eventually, right? Like it's gonna be this week. It's gonna be this week. It just never happened. I did forget about how much of a drought he went through in the paint. Like that's pretty wild. Like same thing with kind of Gesicki. It's like who knows what his numbers look like. And I know touchdowns are a very controversial topic in fantasy because they talk about touchdown regression and they're kind of luck based. They really do make or break a fantasy season. That's why Jamal Williams 3-4 years ago was like a top 12 fantasy back because he scored 17 touchdowns from within 3 yards in the Lions offense. So,
and that's why I like McBride so much because he did that. Like that was the worst case scenario for him. Mm-hmm. He produced extremely well. He was the number 1 target on their team. He still is. And the touchdowns didn't come, and he was still that good. So I'm like, even if he gets a couple lucky ones, if they scheme him up like few more times, he catches a ball that he maybe dropped before, like he is tight end 1. If he catches a few of those, because he was not far behind. No, so like, doesn't seem crazy, but people will attack me. They'll shoot bow and arrows at me if I mention McBride being tight end 1. But he's damn good.
Yeah, he is. I almost feel like he's underrated in the grand scheme of things.
I don't think it's crazy to call him second best tight end in the NFL.
No.
Like, I think Brock Bowers gets a lot of love, and he is great. Brock Bowers is great, and he'll be an all-time great. But like right now, similar blockers, similar receiving production. I don't think Kyler Murray makes you a great tight end. He's never had good tight ends. Like, I think that McBride is doing a lot of heavy lifting for that team, and no one talks about it.
Oh yeah, a ton. Oh yeah, especially with like the underwhelming season from Marvin Harrison and the rapport that him and Kyler didn't have. It was Kyler and McBride. They were the ones that were connecting constantly. So definitely doing a lot of.
He's getting better. Yeah, he's still super young. Like, he's still getting better.
So yeah, that will wrap up we did a good job kind of packaging that up.
Oh my God, we got that in 20 minutes.
Yes.
That's clean.
That just goes to show that all of our episodes don't need to be this long. We just do so much yapping that it just ends up over an hour every time. But hey, we got out of here on an average time frame. So as always, if you enjoy, well, first actually join.
If you want to hear more yapping,
yes,
go join the Discord, and you can even use your own voice there, free of charge.
Yes, they do. A lot of people in there love to use their voice. We even have a Zamir White defender, if you believe they exist. So you could go ask him some questions. Join the Discord down below. But as always, if you enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, share. Check us out in the description. All of our socials are down there. All of our individual socials are down there as well. And we'll see you in episode 43, which we'll have another special guest. So peace.